Hi, welcome to the next round of top 10 videos. Today we're going to be covering the top 10 cards from Aether Spark. Now this is a set that's very controversial. There's a lot of backlash towards it and I don't blame them. This is not a set that I am kind of not excited about at all. I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing other types of content as well during the season, just because there's not really enough excitement for me for the set. But I did manage to find and scrap down to the barrel 10 cards that I am interested in trying, plus an additional little bit of honorable mentions that I will try as well, but that's about it. So, if you like Aether Spark, let me know in the comment section. If you don't like it at all, let me know in the comment section as well. There's a decent amount of people that I've talked to that basically said they won't touch this set with a 10-foot pole. So I'm kind of curious how you guys feel. Let's get into the list and discuss. So, the honorable mentions, I guess, these are cards that I think that we'll see play, even though I despise them with all my heart. First on my list is this Voyager Glide Car. 1 white, 2/3. When it ETB, scry 1. You can tap 3 other untapped creatures you control. It becomes a creature to win a turn, gains flying, gets a counter. Okay, has a crew 1. Okay, this just looks like a card from Borderlands. It's not very attractive. I really don't like this card at all. I think there was another card that I was thinking about that actually I could have put on this list as well that fit the criteria of these 3 cards. They're cards that I think could and very well could, will probably see play in Pioneer, but I will not be putting them in my decks, just because I'm not reducing myself to this level. Next on my list is Momentum Breaker, 1 in a black. Start your engines. I'm not going to go into that. When this ETBs, you get to each opponent sacrifices a creature or vehicle. If they can't, they discard a card. It's really good, I guess, into Black Devotion, also the Fairy Pixie decks, and even decks like, Doom Foretold and whatnot. It's just a strict upgrade over a lot of the enchantments that say when the ETB, your opponent, stacks a creature. But I'm not doing the swap. I rather play the other cards. I cannot deal with this artwork. And Start Your Engines just is a awful mechanic. So I'm copping out, and I'm sorry, but I get it. It's a much better card. These texts right here, this is just a very good lines of text. But the fact that it Start Your Engines and has this ridiculous stuff going on in this artwork just makes me just want to throw something at the wall, and I just can't deal with it. Next, we have Chandra Spark Hunter, 3 in a red. Basically, begin your combat. You get to turn on a vehicle. You may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, you may draw a card. Really good for Mardu Fang, which is where I think this card could possibly see play. It's 0 mana or 0 loyalty ability. Make a 3/1 vehicle token. Then you get to make an emblem. Whenever an artifact ETBs, you get to 3 damage to any target. So this, I think, is pretty reasonable. Mardu Fang used to play Nihiri. This is also probably much better than Nihiri. Just being able to discard your Parhelion or sacrificing your Parhelion post-combat makes this card really decent. But again, I'm not touching it. This artwork just absolutely is cringe. So it's not even including the checker flag, which is also cringe. So sorry, I'm not touching these cards. I can't remember there's one more other card I thought about adding. That's also, I think, could see a lot of play, but to me it's just cringe. So now let's get into the actual honorable mentions that I will probably try. So we have Memory Guardian, 4 in a blue. Affinity for Artifacts, flying, 3/4. I'm interested in trying this in some sort of affinity deck. We have some affinity cards from the set. I'm kind of not bad at overall. Now, as for Pixie, this card is a little less cringe. It's 1 black. When this artifact ETBs, target creature your opponent controls gets -2/-2. You can pay 2 in a black, tap it, sack it, and surveil 2. This is pretty good with Pixie. It can remove small creatures. It's just a bauble, I guess. I don't know. Lastly, for uncommons, we have Dredger's Insight. It's 1 in a green. Enchantment, whenever 1 or more artifact or creatures leave your graveyard, you gain 1 life. When this thing ETBs, you get to mill 4 cards. You may put an artifact, creature, or land among them. Put it in your hand. I think this could be reasonable in a deck like Insidious Roots, because, you do actively have creatures leave your graveyard all the time. It could be upside compared to some other kind of self-mill effects. So I'm not sure exactly, but this is the one deck I think this card could see some play. Overall, like just that ability may be worth enough just to gain a couple life in Insidious Roots. Could make a difference. I'm not sure, But that's all my commons and uncommons for honorable mentions. Let's get into the rare honorable mentions. So we have 1 rare, 2 mythics. Market Back Walker, XX. This creature enters with XXX ++1 counters on it. You may pay 4, put a counter on it. When it dies, you draw a card for each counter on it. Pretty good, probably in Modern. Probably sees a couple copies in Hardened Scales. Could also see some play in Hardened Scales and Pioneer. I'm not sure. Hardened Scales still need to be fleshed out. Now, the card I got correct at the beginning of the season, I said, as soon as I seen the 1 mana 13/13 vehicle, I was like, that's probably a Death Shadow vehicle. I said it around multiple different streamers, and turns out I was correct. I should have done a short on it, and I probably got tons of views. My channel would have blew up, but I didn't. So, joke's on me. So it's basically Death Shadow. The advantage is, of course, you can play it on turn 1. The disadvantage is it's a legendary artifact. So you can only have 1 on the battlefield at a time. Again, I mean, the artifact, the artwork is a little cringe, but it's not as bad as the ones in the other page. You can pay 2 in a black, pay 2 life, draw a card. Cruise with 2 for 2. My last mythic, I think I'm interested only for Gruul Boats. 1 green, trample. Each other vehicle you control enters with additional ++1 counter on it. If its mana value is less than 4 or less. So Chariot is a 5/5. Pretty reasonable. Boat is a 9/7, 9/8, 9/8. So that's pretty reasonable because that one enters with 3 counters on it. So crew 3. So I don't know if this card actually makes boats playable, but this could be a card that could make boats a little bit more interesting. A 3 mana 5/5 is not bad stats. You can get over a Shieldred and trade with it. So that's pretty good. I'm not sure if it's better. I'm sure if it's good enough to make Gruul Boats actually a thing. But what do you guys think about Gruul Boats in Pioneer after this new card? Let's get into the top 10 list. Through PayPal, I'm offering for $20 play your deck through League. I also give you an article about how to improve the list, and as well as some sideboard guides in very particular matchups. If you want to check out the link, is in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. So next on my list is Thundering Brood Wagon. 2 green, black. I reversed that, but whatever. It's a 6/5 menace reach. When it ETBs, destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls, mana value 4 or less. You could cycle it for 2. Cruise for 3. Could work in Fang. Is this better than Boat? I'm not sure. Boat could deal 3 damage twice, so 6 damage or something to a creature. But unlike Boat, this could hit a artifact, a planeswalker, an enchantment. So it has more targets. It can kill a, very importantly, can maybe kill up to Beanstalk. So that way the pesky Incarnation decks don't go ahead. Heck, it could even kill an Incarnation. So I'm kind of interested. This card could see some play. Looks like an insect, I guess, as a vehicle. I don't know. Kind of cringy, but it's not as cringe. I guess it's tolerable, I guess. The effect is pretty reasonable, I think, for Fang. That's my number 10. Let's get number 9. Number 9 is Bright Glass Gearhulk. Green, white. First strike, trample. When this EDBs, you may search up for 2 artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. When they have a value of 1 or less, put them in your hand after revealing. So this is probably going to see play in 1 deck. Now, there is a Golgari Food. It's not as big as Jund Sacrifice. But they could go add white to the Golgari Food and make it Abzan. And this can get your Cat, Oven, or Scavenger Talent. That's basically it. Otherwise, this card does not seem all that impressive. Honestly, the Gearhulks in general, none of them made the cut besides this one. So don't expect them to show up because they're not showing up. Honestly, the Gearhulks feel pretty weak, especially compared to they got spoiled after we got Overlords, which are just strictly better cards. So, I mean, I get it. Wizards does this often where they, just print these busted cards. And then a few sets later, they expect these kind of cards to actually see play. And how can they? They're just so much worse than the Overlords that it's just laughable. Because these don't really work with anything else. This can assemble decent sized combos with Cat, Oven, and Talent. But besides that, there's not much to look at here. Let's get number 8. Number 8 is Valor's Flagship. 4 white. You basically will cycle this for 3. And it's basically for Fang. I guess you could make a X colorless pilots that can crew this, but it's okay, I guess. It's probably a 1-of in your deck, if I had to guess, for Fang. You might put 1 on the board in case you face aggro, and the lifelink matters, but that's about it. Not much to say about this card. It's pretty, self-explanatory. It's kind of like the 7/7 Eldrazi in the last set in Foundations. It just comes down to kind of just Stonewall's aggro, right? But that one actually has Vigilance, which actually matters. This one does not, so it can't block and hit him like Atroxa can and the Eldrazi. So this might not be as good, but you probably run a copy and 4 copies of Parhelion because it's better at closing out the game. Let's get number 7. Ketramos, the New Dawn. 1 white-black. Menace, lifelink, indestructible. It can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. Whenever 1 more card is put from a graveyard or battlefield to exile, you draw a card on your turn, and you lose 1 life. This is better in Modern, where you have your, flicker effects plus your, can't remember, the 5-drop white elemental. There's less obvious things to do with this in Pioneer. I'm kind of curious how this card can shake up in Pioneer. It might be one of those cards that might just get injected into Pioneer and take a few years to actually have a deck constructed around it, and it starts seeing legit play. I mean, guarantee you probably will see Vanishing Verse in the list. I don't know if you would play any form of Kaya's in the list. Soundfalls could be interesting, but it really kind of hurts this card. So I'm not really sure. And I'm pretty sure this works quite well with Temporary Lockdown. I'm pretty sure this works with Temporary Lockdown. So I'm kind of thinking that could be a good, decent option. But overall, like I said, I think this is a card that might be injected into Pioneer and might not see play for a reasonable amount of time before a deck is constructed. It's going to take a lot of time to brew around this card. It's not like other cards where it kind of just gets injected into a deck. But let's get number 6. Number 6 is Regal Imperiosaur. 1 green, 5/4 dinosaur. Other dinosaurs get +1/+1. Two noticeable things. 1, it's reasonable bodied for 3 mana. So dinosaurs might be able to get to the point where Coco could be a thing. You have this, you have Pugs. You have a few other 3-drop dinosaurs. You have decent 2-drop dinosaurs. So that could be a possibility. 2, this in a Stompy version. Actually quite relevant because the biggest hurdle for dinosaurs usually is something like Shieldred. And this being able to get your dinosaurs just big enough to get through a Shieldred actually matters. Even if it's just like making your 3/3 into a 4/4, your little tokens. Yeah, that one can't get through Shieldred, but it can get through most things. So overall, I think this actually is a very good card. This is one of the most hyped cards for me from this set. Few of them are my top 3, of course, but this one I'm thinking is actually really good. It might not be in anyone's top 5, just because there's not that many dinosaur fanatics like me. Of course, there's Commander Crane. If you're watching Commander Crane, let me know in the comment section. But let's get number 5. I am now offering Patreon and locals content exclusive that includes sideboard guides, budget guides, exclusive videos, as well as other types of content. If you want to check out the link, it's in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. Number 5 is Bulwark Ox. 1 and a white. This is the card I'm actually really excited about. Overall, something about it, thanks to Bruce Taro, I've kind of been falling in love with Oxes. I don't know why. The creature type is growing on me. But 2 mana 2/2, whenever this creature attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on something. You can sacrifice this creature. Creature control with the counters on, get hexproof and indestructible in a turn. Really good. You can put this in your, most likely it's going to be Selesnya Hardened Scales. I'm kind of actually thinking this could be a reasonable card for the deck. You could saddle your pesky 1. I mean, either the card you played for the turn, which most likely is going to be a card that just gets humongous. Right? The more counters you spread out everywhere. So overall, like Wild Word Scourged, or Tentacle Brawler, I think that's the name. The 2-drop. That whenever something else gets a counter, it gets a counter. One triggers once per creature. But overall, like there's plenty of options here. This is a really good 2-drop. might even be better than Luminarch Aspirant, if I had to guess. Yeah, Luminarch Aspirant doesn't necessarily require you to saddle, but it doesn't have this big, humongous bonus that allows you just to protect your entire team. So I'm actually kind of excited about this. I think it might be better than Luminarch Aspirant. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. All right, so you're on KebbieG's channel. So you should expect Debris Beetle. 2 black and a green, trample. 6/6 vehicle, cruise 2. When this creature enters, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life. It's arguably better than Siege Rhino, but worse than Siege Rhino. I don't know, right? It's a better body. Requires 1 less color. But it is a vehicle, which is statistically worse than a creature. In certain moments, right? If you can't crew this, then you're just kind of stuck with a pathetic vehicle that can't do anything. But the, Siege Rhino could attack in that situation, because it's always a creature. So it's like a toss-up. But overall, I welcome Siege Rhinos number 5 and 6 in my deck. More Siege Rhinos, the better. I'll be looking to see if Cons has another Siege Rhino, or if it gets reprinted in it. I don't know. I'll be excited if it did, though. Let's get to number 3. Bloodghast. Black, can't block. It has haste as long as your opponent has 10 or less life. It has landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, return it to the battlefield. So, 2 decks, Dredgeless Dredge and Assidious Roots. This keep coming back. You keep stacking it with your Priest, and then you keep getting tokens because you bring this thing back from your graveyard, which works really well with Roots. So there's 2 definitely good decks that I think could see a lot of play now. Of course, you should notice, like you probably noticed, that this is not the new art. The new art makes me want to vomit. But this art looks super banger. All the way back from Zendikar. I love the red. I love the black, the white. It's just so much going on in this artwork. It's so awesome. Sadly, they replaced it with this weird looking gremlin that has big teeth. I don't know what it is. Yeah, overall, this is a very nice card. I love the fact that it's coming back to Pioneer. If I play this in paper, of course, I'm picking up this artwork, not the new one. I would not be surprised if the new one price is significantly lower than the old artwork, which people will probably buy this artwork to play it in standard because it's legal, and people might not touch the new artwork. I don't know. We'll see, unless they're on a budget. But I ain't going nowhere near the new artwork except for on Arena, because I doubt they'll give us this artwork. If they did, I might pay a little bit of money to get this artwork. Don't at me, Wizards. Let's get number 2. Number 2 is Demonic Junker. 6 and a black. Affinity for artifacts. When it ETBs, you can destroy up to 1 creature from each player. If you destroy a creature of your own, this gets +2/+2 counters on it. Overall, probably pretty reasonable with Metalwork Colossus. It's not a creature. It reduces your cost to your Metalwork Colossus by 7. So, I really like this card for that deck in particular. I don't really know if there's going to be an Esper affinity deck, or even, I guess, a Dimir affinity, because the flyer that we talked about, but there's also the Azorius draw 3, gain 3 affinity card, also pretty interesting. So it's very cool that they bring affinity back within Tolerance, but this card is definitely going to see some play, I think, in Metalwork Colossus. Let's get into my number 1 card. Marauding Mako. Red, 1/1. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, put that many counters on this creature, cycling 2. I'm pretty sure this is just the Red Fox. And I'm kind of excited. So now you have a decent budget cycling deck that I'm excited to try out. Overall, like, there's so many good cycling cards that are uncommons and commons, and having 2 complete ones, it feels pretty amazing. So overall, I'm kind of excited about this. Let me know in the comment section which cards you think I missed. What do you guys think about my takes on these cards? I do think they're all pretty okay. I still think this is probably one of my least favorite sets ever. I'd rather even play Murder the Carlisle Manor again. Honestly, I am just not a fan of this entire set. It's like has no set theme. I guess. I mean, you could argue that because it's multiple planes mishmatched on a drift, but I'm not a fan. So until next time, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys next time. Shout out to all my supporters, and if you want to see any other content from me, check out either one of these 2 videos and playlist. And I'll talk to you soon.